All right. So we hear all the time about how AI is going to totally revolutionize farming, right? We're talking crops that can handle this crazy climate, bigger yields, a lot less waste. But, and this is a big but, there's a secret ingredient that decides if any of this actually works. And honestly, it's the one thing that separates a huge success from, well, a spectacular failure. So let's break that down.
So you've got this incredible promise of AI on one side, but then you look at what's actually happening on the ground, and, the reality is often a whole lot of failed projects, tons of wasted money, and sometimes this tech actually makes inequality even worse. So what is going on here? What's causing this massive gap? That's exactly what we're going to dig into.
Okay, first things first, let's look at the bright side, the whole digital harvest that AI can bring, because it's really important to get a handle on just how powerful these tools can be when they actually work. The potential here, it's truly transformative. So at its best, AI takes all this scattered information, weather patterns, what's happening in the soil, how fast plants are growing, and it turns it all into these really smart, precise decisions. We're talking about precision agriculture, where you're using the exact right amount of water or fertilizer, no more, no less. That cuts waste, it protects the environment, and yeah, it leads directly to bigger yields. And maybe most importantly, it helps farmers adapt way faster to our changing climate. And check this out. This is maybe one of the biggest game changers, speed. I mean, developing a new kind of crop that can handle drought or extreme heat, that used to take a decade, maybe even longer. Now with AI crunching all that genetic data, we can slash that time by years. And that means we can get tougher, better adapted crops out to farmers when they need them most. Which, let's be honest, is right now. Okay, so if AI is so powerful, you have to be asking, why does it fail so much? Well, now we get to the absolute core of the problem. And it's a concept that's basically as old as computers. Garbage in, garbage out. The simple truth is, an AI is only as smart as the data it learns from.
And to really get this, we've got to pop the hood for just a second. See, with machine learning, it's not like a programmer is sitting there writing out a bunch of rigid if this, then not instructions. Nope. Instead, the system learns by finding patterns in just massive, massive amounts of data. It sifts through thousands, even millions of examples to basically teach itself the rules.
And that leads to a pretty unavoidable truth, right? If the examples you feed the AI are flawed or incomplete or biased in some way, well, then the rules it comes up with are going to be just as flawed. The machine doesn't know any better. It's just a mirror, reflecting whatever data you give it, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Here is a perfect real-world example of what I'm talking about. Let's say you train an AI model using only data from these huge, high-tech farms with perfect irrigation systems. The model's recommendations are going to be amazing for those farms. But now, try to use that same AI for a small family farm, working on marginal land in a tough climate. The advice is going to be completely useless, maybe even harmful, because the AI never saw that kind of situation. It's like it's speaking a different language. And this isn't just a failure. It actively makes the gap between the rich and poor even wider. And this isn't just some theoretical problem we're talking about. The cost of bad data is incredibly real. We're talking real money wasted, real innovation that gets stopped in its tracks, and real opportunities that are just missed. Just look at this number. Seriously, it's estimated that somewhere between 70 and 80% of AI projects fail. Let that sink in for a second. The vast majority just don't work out. And what's one of the top reasons? You guessed it. Poor data quality. We're talking billions of dollars of investment just gone. It really creates this direct chain of failure, like dominoes falling. So if the pictures you use to train an AI to spot plant diseases are labeled wrong, what happens? The AI tells farmers to spray perfectly healthy crops. That's money down the drain and pointless pollution. Or, like we just talked about, if your data is biased towards big farms, the models just fail for the small farmers who need the help the most. The connection is direct, and it's really damaging.
All right, so how do we fix this mess? You might think the answer is a better, smarter algorithm, but it's not. The real answer is about shifting our focus away from the tech itself and back to the people. It's all about human judgment.
There's this fantastic analogy that I think just nails it. Think about an artist. You would never, ever start a masterpiece by just slinging paint onto a dirty, crumpled canvas, right? Of course not. Well, data is the canvas for AI. And all that work, the cleaning, the organizing, the prep, that's the essential first step. It literally determines how good the final painting is going to be. So the solution is a totally human-powered process. It all starts with us. with people, asking the right questions. Then it's on us to build good, solid systems for collecting quality data. After that, the AI can do its thing and find patterns, but it's our human judgment that has to interpret what those patterns actually mean. And here's the most important part. The final call, the final decision, always has to be made by a person. Someone who gets the local context, understands the risks, and knows what the real goal is.
And really, that is the key. Success here isn't about AI replacing people. Not at all. It's about combining the machine's incredible ability to find patterns with the irreplaceable on-the-ground experience of farmers and breeders. One without the other is kind of weak, honestly. But when you put them together, that's when things get incredibly powerful. So this brings us to the ultimate solution, the big idea. If we really want that successful digital harvest, we have to start by cultivating our own skills. We have to start treating data like the most foundational resource there is, kind of like the soil itself.
And that brings us right to the main point. You simply cannot have a successful AI program if the people running it don't understand data. Data literacy is not some nice-to-have skill for a couple of tech people on the team. No, it is as fundamental to modern agriculture as seeds and soil. It is the ground from which everything else has to grow. So the path forward here is actually pretty clear and actionable. This isn't just some vague, fluffy idea. It's a real plan. We need to make solid data training mandatory in agricultural universities, in research labs. It has to be a core part of what people learn, right alongside genetics and agronomy. And there should be required refreshers to keep everyone's skills sharp, just like you do for any other critical lab procedure. And the payoff for making this investment, it is absolutely enormous. When you have teams that are actually data literate, you see project success rates just skyrocket. They can innovate way faster because they're not stuck fixing basic data mistakes all the time. They waste less time, and maybe most importantly, they start asking better, smarter, more powerful research questions from the very beginning. So this really brings us to the final big question. We are pouring a staggering amount of time and money into teaching machines how to learn. But the real challenge, the question we have to ask ourselves is this: are we learning how to teach them wisely? Are we teaching them with good, clean data, with fair questions, and with human values right at the very center of it all? Because the future of a sustainable digital harvest really depends on our answer.